Two that, guess what, won't be available on PC on day one. So if you want to enjoy it, you're going to need a console, and this video might be important to you. So as I'm sure you guys know, Grand Theft Auto 5 was not remastered or re-released or enhanced in any way for the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro. Essentially, Microsoft and Sony's beefier, better consoles of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. They're obviously not new consoles, they're just better, enhanced versions. And the question we're going to be answering today is, would it be worth it to upgrade your system, your console, to play Grand Theft Auto 5 on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One X? So before we can jump into this, I need to get you guys up to speed. We're going to be talking about teraflops and flops in general today. And you might be asking yourself, well, what is a flop and what does that have to do with console? So flops stand for floating point operations per second, and they're used to measure a console's maximum graphical potential. So we're going to be talking about gigaflops today and teraflops, and the former represents a billion flops, the latter represents 1 trillion flops. So let's start with the Xbox One. The Microsoft Xbox One came out on November 22nd, 2013, and it uses an AMD Radeon graphics solution, which is clocked at 853 megahertz, that offers 1.31 teraflops, which is pretty good. It was 5.4 times as many as the Xbox 360. And then they ended up releasing the Xbox One S in August of 2016 with only a marginal upgrade. So the Xbox One S has a teraflop count of 1.4, so not all that much expansive. However, the Xbox One X is a huge jump. It's actually set to release on November 7th, 2017, so in just a couple of days. It has a custom integrated AMD Polaris GPU, clocked at nearly 1200 megahertz, and it offers 6 teraflops. 6! So that amount is 4.5 times as many teraflops as the Xbox One, which is nuts. So that's the Microsoft side. Now let's talk about the PlayStation side. So the Sony PlayStation 4 came out on November 15th, 2013. It has an integrated AMD Radeon GPU, and it has 533 more gigaflops than Microsoft's Xbox One, which once again had 1.31. So it was a little bit more powerful than the Xbox One. And Sony didn't come out with a PlayStation 4S or whatever their equivalent would be. They have released the PlayStation 4 Pro, which came out last year on November 10th, 2016, and it has 4.2 teraflops. So it's 2.2 times more powerful than the PS4, but it's not as powerful as the Xbox One X, which is rather interesting. So now that you have all of that information out of the way, essentially the console hierarchy goes Xbox One, Xbox One S, PS4, PlayStation 4 Pro, and then Xbox One X being the most powerful. Now, how does this relate to Grand Theft Auto 5? And would it be worth it to upgrade it to play this game? Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Rockstar didn't re-release or enhance Grand Theft Auto 5 for the Xbox One.
Okay, I'm just gonna interrupt if I can. I've been sitting here since 09, and I've had everything from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4 and to a 4 Pro. I've also had an Xbox, but I had the 360 here. So, did you hear what he said? It was set to debut in November of 17. That is approximately in 6 months or 5 months after the harvest. So 5 months after 5 would be SS. I've got that on my small intestine right now. That don't matter. What does matter is this. Somebody's pushing Agenda 21, and you're getting Bill Gates to do it. Microsoft. Somebody left on a rolling cloud. I watched it. 3 months later, it came back. Somebody went to Saturn and they needed some PC or some gaming stations that was going to be powerful enough to pull whatever you need us to store on orbit. What are we going to store on it? If we're playing this game, what are we going to store? Okay, we don't want to get caught with thumbnails. You ain't got none anyways. So, we ain't got that. So, in other words, that's horsepower instead. But they want you to think it's for memory. That's going to be horsepower. You're going to bend time with that motherfucker. For what? For what I invented stiffly from American Pie. That's what. Because every child under the age of 2 years old gets a vaccination and the doctor gets $400 a head for doing it. Magneto can manipulate the time aerosol that's inside the vaccine. Magneto's not real. But rippling matter is with quantum tunneling and entanglement. Entanglement's going to be the vaccine. The tunneling's going to be the Xbox. The source is going to be the Schwartz D-Wave, minus 200 degrees nanokelvin. Housed in a box made of 24 karat gold circles. One circle smaller than the other one as it goes up to the top of the chimney, housing a small rectangle microchip. The world only knows how they could get something small enough to print on it or prefab it in the first place. Makes you wonder about your smartphone, how they put all that together and make it do what it does. And then they just hand it to you and tell you to sell meth and crack with it. Gee, thanks a lot, bitch. When it does so much more. I've been watching you for a whole decade with no distractions and no significant odors. I broke Guinness today.
But they also may have faster loading times too. Now, some people have gotten their hands on these consoles early, specifically the Xbox One X, and one of those is Twitch streamer Ray Cox. On Twitter, he's Stallion83. I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. So he has actually tried the loading times in Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Xbox One X versus the Xbox One S, which is very similar to the Xbox One, both from the internal HDD. And the initial load to story mode with the Xbox One X is 24 seconds, whereas with the Xbox One S is 1 minute 7 seconds. So it's almost 3 times faster loading the game from start to getting into story mode. And I'm sure that that time is improved in Grand Theft Auto Online as well. Now he actually has a video of this happening. He says Grand Theft Auto 5 initial load on the Xbox One was 24 seconds, whereas the Xbox One S was 1 minute 7 seconds. So that is incredibly cool. Now Ray also does another test on a recently released game, Assassin's Creed Origins, which was actually built for the newer system. So new games that are coming out within the last year or so are being built for the new consoles, PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox One X. The difference is Grand Theft Auto 5 was not. Obviously the game was redone and enhanced and essentially remastered for the new generation, Xbox and PS4, but it wasn't built obviously because it wasn't around during that time for the newer consoles that were just launched. So this begs the question, we have a lot of holidays coming up, you might have a birthday coming up, you might be graduating, or you might just be treating yourself because you got a nice bonus at work. Is it worth it to get the new consoles if you want to play Grand Theft Auto 5? And I think the answer is yes. I've said the Achilles heel of Grand Theft Auto 5, because it is such a graphically intense game and it's pushing the limits of what it did for its time, the loading screens are by far one of the biggest downsides. They're a little bit better in single player, but in online, they are extremely bad. And anything that can help this, I think, is a huge win. In fact, that's one of the main reasons why I play Grand Theft Auto 5 exclusively or almost exclusively on PC right now, because the loading times are just so much faster. Now, my PC is not, unbelievable by any means, but it gets the job done over my PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And I'm sort of in the same situation here. Would I play on console more if I had these newer consoles? Because of not only the graphical improvements that you'll see, it'll obviously look better. Just like on PC right now, if you have a lower end PC, Grand Theft Auto 5 won't work so great. If you have a higher end PC, it's going to look really awesome. Now, it's not going to completely change the way the game works or the game functions, but you will see a graphical enhancement, and you'll likely see the fact that the game performs better. So a lot of times when I'm on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, I'll notice that sometimes my game stutters or freezes or has to kind of buffer for a little bit. I'd imagine on these newer consoles you won't experience anything like it. Now, I'm certainly not here to say that you need one of these new consoles to play Grand Theft Auto 5, because that's certainly not true. In fact, you can still play GTA 5 just fine on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. However, will your experience be greatly improved? I think the answer is yes. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Rockstar have a game that's coming out in spring of 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2, that number one, won't be available on PC for you PC guys that are still here, but also number two, is likely being developed and built on the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, meaning Rockstar are going to tap into the full potential of these consoles, and if you're playing them on a regular PS4 or a regular Xbox One or Xbox One S, you might not get the same experience. So I'm definitely going to leave that discussion up to you guys in the comment section down below. What do you think? Is Grand Theft Auto 5 an upgrade on these newer consoles in terms of performance, looks, loading time, and so much more? And if you do have a PS4 Pro or you have an Xbox One X by the time you're watching this video and you've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5, let us know your experience in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing down there. In the description, once again, I will leave Ray Cox's video so that you guys can check that out. Very cool of him to share that on Twitter. I thought that was awesome. If you did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. Relay daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
Apprehension, tension, expectation. No one likes waiting. Whether it's waiting in traffic, for your food to arrive, for the end of the day, for the weekend, for summer to get here, for your birthday, for the bathroom, or
For over 20 years, Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto series has been taking us to the mean streets of organized crime, mayhem, and of course, stealing cars. Being as it's one of our most suggested videos ever, we here at Suggestive Gaming figured it would be a good idea to take a look back at the story of the various universes the Grand Theft Auto series has visited. Given that we have so much to cover, we're going to split this video into two parts. Today we're going to cover the 3D universe, consisting of all the titles after Grand Theft Auto 2, but before Grand Theft Auto 4. Then, in part 2, we'll cover the rest. Now, without further ado, this is what you need to know about Grand Theft Auto Part 1. Our story begins in Vice City in the year 1984, where we meet U.S. Army Corporal Victor Vance, working to provide for his brothers, Pete, who suffers from asthma, and Lance, who is a lazy underachiever. Vic's supervisor, Sergeant Jerry Martinez, works on the side smuggling drugs, and uses his influence with Vic to recruit him into the business, which Vic morally objects to but reluctantly joins. Through the drug business, Vic meets Phil Cassidy, a self-proclaimed war veteran and manic arms dealer. After a drug deal gone wrong, Martinez grows frustrated with Vic and sends him to retrieve a girl named Mary from a party nearby. After returning with her, Vic is met by a master sergeant who confronts him about a stash of marijuana found under his bed, as well as the woman he has brought back to the base, who's revealed to be a prostitute. Set up by Martinez, these events cause Vic to be dishonorably discharged from the army and thrown out onto the streets. Shortly after, Vic once again hears from Phil, who offers him some work and a place to stay. After some jobs together, Phil introduces Vic to his brother-in-law, Marty J. Williams, who runs the Trailer Park Mafia, a small crime ring. After witnessing Marty's abusive behavior towards his wife, Louise, Vic develops a relationship with her, sending Marty into a jealous rage. Marty kidnaps his wife, but Vic is able to track them down and kill Marty, taking over the Trailer Park Mafia in turn, which he renames the Vance crime family. After hearing the news, Vic's brother Lance flies into the city and quickly begins working to eliminate and overtake the competing crime organizations. During this endeavor, Vic and Lance discover that a local drug dealer, Brian Forbes, is actually an undercover DEA agent who runs away with their money. They are able to catch and capture him, but after he leads them into several traps and an attempted escape, Vic is forced to kill him. Later, the Vance brothers attempt to steal a drug shipment believed to be under Martinez's supervision, but are kidnapped by Armando and Diego Mendez, two brothers in charge of a powerful cartel that actually owned the shipment. Lance lies and convinces them that it was Martinez, actually a DEA agent, that stole the drugs. To provide proof, Vic takes photos of Martinez with the DEA agent and combines Forbes' files with Martinez's. Now having their trust, the Mendez brothers give Vic and Lance some work, including jobs for filmmaker Rennie Vasselmeyer, manager Barry Micklethwaite, and even pop star Phil Collins. Through Rennie, Vic meets Ricardo Diaz, drug baron and competitor to the Mendez brothers. After Martinez tips off the Mendez cartel of this betrayal, Lance and Vic are kidnapped and narrowly escape from captivity before planning their revenge. With Diaz's help, Vic destroys the Mendez's safe, eliminating their bankroll and sending them into bankruptcy. As revenge, the Mendez cartel kidnap Louise. Lance is also captured and Vic is forced to go to their mansion where he fights and eventually kills Armando. He's able to find Lance and Louise, but Louise dies from the beating she was given. Diaz once again helps Vic track Diego and Martinez, and after stealing a chopper from his former station, he storms the Mendez's fortress and lands on the roof to face Martinez and Diego, and after another battle, Vic is able to kill them. Shortly after, Lance arrives to retrieve Vic, and the brothers agree to stay out of the drug business before leaving Vice City to return to Pete with money for his asthma medication. 2 years later, in 1986, Tommy Vercetti is released from prison after a 15-year sentence in Liberty City. Tommy, who was sentenced for life, was sprung after his boss Sonny Forelli pulled some favors. Impressed by his loyalty throughout his sentence, Sonny entrusts Tommy with expanding their drug trade to Vice City. Once he arrives in the city, Tommy and his bodyguards are met by Ken Rosenberg, a crooked lawyer who is tasked with driving them to the docks to perform a cocaine deal with the Vance brothers, now back in the drug business. Once they arrive at the docks, however, the deal is ambushed and Victor is killed along with Tommy's bodyguards. The drugs and money are stolen as well. Tommy and Rosenberg are able to escape, and Tommy informs Sonny of the failed deal. Sonny, upset with Tommy, threatens him, but ultimately gives him a chance to correct the situation. Rosenberg then introduces Tommy to a retired colonel, Juan Cortez, who helps set up the deal. Feeling sympathy, Cortez agrees to help Tommy, and through Cortez, he meets several figures in the Vice City drug trade, namely Ricardo Diaz, the largest kingpin. Tommy eventually finds Leo Teal, one of the hired arms involved in the ambush, and kills him after a confrontation. Lance Vance, who also survived the ambush, then confronts Tommy, but the two reach a common ground and form an alliance to get their money and drugs back. After Lance and Tommy watch over a deal between Diaz's gang and the Cubans, they are ambushed by a group of Haitians trying to intercept the deal. After Lance and Tommy thwart their attempt, they gain Diaz's trust, who hires them on for permanent protection. During their work, however, Lance discovers that it was in fact Diaz who set up the ambush and stole their drugs. Tommy decides that the pair should work to further gain Diaz's trust before they strike, but Lance, too eager to avenge his brother's death, attempts to kill him on his own. He fails, however, and is captured by Diaz's men. Tommy races to rescue Lance, and with their cover now blown, the two drive to Diaz's mansion where they engage in a standoff with his men. After defeating all of them, the pair finally confront and kill Ricardo Diaz, taking over his business in the aftermath. Tommy then works to control more areas of the Vice City crime underbelly, building up his crime empire to even higher levels. Sonny catches wind of this and becomes enraged at Tommy going independent and betraying him, and he sends some of his men to collect from Tommy's assets. But Tommy kills them and decides to leave the family. After counterfeiting some money to give to Sonny to get him off his back, Tommy waits at his mansion where Sonny arrives. Tommy attempts to give him the money, but Sonny reveals that it was
this motherfucker here to all my niggas out there getting bankrolled. bankroll. Put your motherfucking hands up. Bankroll after bankroll. Money, I like. Bankroll after bankroll. I send this out to my childhood role model. Big bankroll. Suzuki all gold. Fresh, start your clothes, head all a fine hoe. Every time I picture, he pull out his bankroll. So watch the observe, nigga start me how to skirt.
All the time the curve.
I was getting a part of her. Knots in your pants. Had a plug on and had a plug on that cane.
I got a hookah thing.
Real home, I was on. Everything a nigga throw, it was gone. Yeah, I was bankrolls, fuck a bitch. I got this cane bang, and I got this weed and syrup shit. Well, let's get bitch. I got 2 knots, I couldn't put it in the box. 6 months later, a nigga had to split it. Made 150 when I put it in my mouth. Made 150 when I put it in my mouth. Made 150 when I put it in my mind. I could make $1 million if I grind roll like the bankroll. Money, like bankroll after bankroll. $1 million on my mind, 100 G's at a time. Bankroll after bankroll. Big money, I like it. Bankroll after bankroll. $1 million on my mind, 100 G's at a time. I make a nigga with a bankroll. Take a nigga with a bankroll. Take a nigga shot. Got a whole seat. Take a nigga with a bankroll. Take a nigga shot. With a bankroll. Take a nigga shot. Got a whole seat. Take a nigga block. You out there popping them pills, fucking them stank holes. Real, you ain't really bankroll. I'm satisfied. A couple stacks, now you straight drug every day, nigga. And every day I stall the cage. So every time money call, I gotta bust my ass. I'm on the grind, bankroll after bankroll. Playing my nigga, I got a mansion, my nigga. Just hit me with a bankroll. She just hit me with a bankroll. But I call them back like I need more. So many kids to feed, it ain't a game fight. Long, eating good, ask my baby mama. The brother try, mama shine, I'ma grind at the picture booth home with a big bankroll. Bankroll after bankroll. Money, I like it. Bankroll after bankroll. Another G's at a time. Bankroll after bankroll. Money, I like it. Bankroll after bankroll. $1 million on my mind, 100 G's at a time. Mr. Bankroll. Yeah, I'm just chillin'. Heading to New York City, talking about another meal. Mr. Bankroll, the same thing. Stacking my paper, gang. Love me a bankroll. Fucking right, cause without it, my make the haters wanna try back. And homicides, how you like niggas ain't killing for stripes, they wanna bankroll. You want these clothes, you wanna stay. We'll get your mind and your money right. All my kids, all of them, got trust. So when they grow up, they can have a lease. Niggas on TV stunning to me. You talking Gucci bag money, then that's funny to me. See me, can't miss me. Please kiss me, bang, please. I had you missing. Bankroll after bankroll. Money, like bankroll after bankroll. $1 million on my mind, 100 G's at a time. Bankroll after bankroll. Money, I like it. Bankroll after bankroll. $1 million on What's up? What's up? Nigga be all that whispering shit, man. What's up, nigga? Playing, approach me like a man, nigga. Chill there to your side. What's up? Go ahead, boy. You know you scared, boy. That savage like you ain't ready for that, boy. Fuck that nigga. Keep mugging that nigga. He acting bad like Michael Jackson. Go ahead, man. What's up? 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 We got a problem.
Because Q pulled the 40 and pulled the 45
Conceive true deception, multiplied a millionfold. Visualize the yin and yang in a battle so intense that we get them confused. The resident evil specialize in misconstruing. We want to be at a presidential level. What are we doing? Fooling ourselves, clowning ourselves, playing ourselves, but not being ourselves. We can't babble no more than we can bob our head off beat. Them ride by the time we 40 cause we can't get off meat. While we ask no reason for the misplacement of the seed. Look at the picture that's painted. Tainted as the mind is blinded to the point where sodomites get all the rights. We fall for fights with fisticuffs. Get pissed enough to miss the bus. It disgusts me to see my folks run up on me. I say stand up on the section of time on regulations. We recognize his mind on the reality of horror known as mankind. Jesus and his 12 disciples make 13. A righteous number of righteous men. Even Judas the betrayer came true. The devil say the end is the beginning. They teach that we were the product of incest. Invest no level of self into this system of pagan numbers. Stand with us and don't look back upon this faceless mind state. Otherwise Babylon, Babylon.
Memories of yesterday, I see they making their paper shot with no change. On panels, I feel they disrespecting their whole thing. I see they making their paper, so I guess I can't complain. When the food they serving ain't tasting right, my stomach can't digest it even when I blessing. One more bless us out the house tonight. Now who wants to oppose? Suppose we roll through heaven and below, and millions of past the flow and got down for hours like high catches. My mind gets my flashes into the pain. While I posted they paper, so I selling slang, flying away from cannons. It rains. I grew up on Ruby shit. We did not know that thing. Two black folks and I choke when the food ain't tasting right. Started by African jam, so you and your partner got in your thoughts. I still wait with respect and the whole thing. Born as a fan, but my partners they call me Biggs, the nigga, the B.I.G. Speaking the truth, not talking that shit. I'm thinking of checking my straps, so busting my raps and throwing them cracks. 77 is no careers, you pumping your gas, so watching your back for the robbing crew. Begging and robbing you, be cautious. She's staying up on your game and peeping these pros, you must be flawless. Like Mortal Kombat, but fuck it, it's all that's got to be my nigga. My shot and wanna be trying, running up on me like you miss my touching the wrong time. Packing your shit and rolling your eyes back, flexing up on the corner, tossing your dice and rolling your Cadillac. But man, that's the whole thing. Now been touching the wrong nigga, don't act focused and I'm choking you, joking, they serving they flipping ass me bust. Believing them in the dress, so keep that dress in my mood. That's the sound, we in the house tonight. The teller that keep flipping. Niggas flipping, these things we had to handle low. And me and my niggas are past the flow and got down for eyes like high catches. My mind catches flashbacks to the black path while my close niggas laugh at this other slang. Paperweights and mojo chicken rings. I grew up on movie shit. We did not know no gadget things. I go in that movie shit. We did not know how bad the things is. Started by African Bambasa. So you and your partner got to your salt. I grew up on movie shit. We did not know no better things, so go with that. This is Rubber Hop Papers, listen. Started by African Bambata, so you and your partner got to use all of they call me Big Boy, it's the nigga the B.I.G. Speaking the truth, not talking that shit, boy. I'm still checking my straps, so busting my raps and throwing them cracks. 77 is no careers, you pumping your gas, so watching your back. For the round rules, nigga, they robbing. I don't know better things, so go ahead that. This is finished pros, you must be flawless, like Mortal Kombat. But fuck it, this one best got you busy, my nigga, to your thoughts. Into the wrong side, packing your shit and rolling your eyes back. Flexing up on the corner, tossing your dice and rolling your Cadillac. But man, that seems on me chin, I've been touching the wrong nigga. Don't expect the two be flipping, get your index off the trigger. Be us. Believing them in the dress, so keep that in. Nobody get knows I say my piece and then I hush. As the teller they keep flipping. Niggas flipping. Born as a fan, but my partners they call me Big Boy. It's the nigga the B.I.G. Speaking the truth, not talking that shit. I'm thinking of checking my straps, so busting my raps and throwing them cracks. 77 is no careers, you pump your gas and watching your back. For the robbing crew, thinking they robbing you, you must be lost. Staying up on your game and keeping these pros, you must be flawless. Like Mortal Kombat, but fuck it, it's one that's got you busy, my nigga. You don't wanna be playing, but running up on me like you missed you. Taking a wrong back, packing your shit, I think that it's love it in our gallery. Like so is the lab that we come clean. Some issues need to be addressed like envelopes, I mean. Oh, like Liberty Bells, just them bullets keep on ringing. On fire like the Georgia Mass Choir, we keep on singing, bringing our folks closer together, cause they staring us in the gang. So go ahead that. This is Rubber Hop Papers, listen. Started by African Bambata, so you and your partner got to your salt. We hit the stages and we fly back to our nest, flags on eagles. People don't understand, just like their parents don't be caring. Speaking about you playing with that phony stuff you sharing in your raps and Sadie bands and all your riches, thinking you got it, we get it. But you ain't whipping no bitches cause you flawless. But I like these into driveways. Isn't it lovely smoking good and sloppy head on highways? Fridays are tight, but Saturday just makes it old. Winter nights are hot, warm enough to feed your soul. Rolling old. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon happiness. Find you just the way. Every whisper was true. My days. We did not know no better things, so go ahead and this is Rubber Hop Papers, listen. Started by African Bambata, so you your partner got to your thoughts. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon happiness. Find you just the way. Every whisper was true. they call me big boy. It's the nigga the B.I.G. You speaking the truth, not talking that shit, boy. I'm thinking of checking my tracks, so up to my raps and throwing them crap. 77 is no convenience, you probably don't get the you must be flawless, like Mortal Kombat. But fucking this wombats got too easy, my nigga. You know I don't wanna be playing, but running up on me like you miss me. You catching the wrong vibe, packing your shit and rolling your eyes back, flexing up on the corner, tossing your dice and rolling your Cadillac. But man, as soon as I'm reaching out, then touching the wrong nigga. Don't expect it to be pimping. Get your index off the trigger as we bust. Us, leaving them in the dust, so keep that clean up out of your nose. I said my piece and then I hush as the calendar keeps flipping. Niggas still blinding. All the money fall down, forward, all that tissues turn to teardrops. Fat ass turns like so. That was open rooms until it turned to scared. Trees white and green turn yellow brown. All them colors. See, all them leaves must fall down. All that titties turn to teardrops. His fat ass turns to flare. Shows that was open rooms until it scared. Trees white and green turn yellow brown. All them colors. See, all them leaves must fall. We never learned our galaxy. So is the lava we complain. Some issues need to be addressed like envelopes, I mean. Oh, like Liberty Bells, just them bullets keep on ringing. On fire like the Georgia Mass Choir. We keep on singing, bringing our folks closer together, cause they severed us from the get green light. And we ain't gonna stop until we hit the big sight. Because no one is free when others press. So we hit the stage and then we fly back to our nest like some eagles. People don't understand, just like their parents don't be caring. I'm speaking about you playing with that phony stuff you sharing in your raps and Sadie Benz and all your riches. Thinking you got it, but get it? But you ain't pimping no bitch, you flaw. And funnel like these into driveways. Isn't it lovely smoking good and sloppy head on highways? Fridays are tight, but Saturday just makes it old. Winter nights are hot, warm enough to feed your soul. Rolling old. This is popping resistance. Started by African and Roger. So you and your partner got to your thoughts. They call me Fist, the nigga the B.I.G. You speaking the truth, not talking that shit, boy. I'm thinking of checking my tracks, so up to my raps and throwing them crap. 77 is no convenience, you pumping your gas, so watching your back. For the robbing crew, thinking they robbing you, you must be cautious. She's staying up on your game and keeping these pros be flawless. Like Mortal Kombat, but fucking these wombats got you easy. You never wanna be fan, but running up on you miss me. You catching the wrong vibe. Packing your shit and rolling your eyes back.
What you need, boss? Some wheels? I can bring them around.
Don't expect it to be pimping. Get your index off the trigger as we bust. Leaving them in the dust, so keep that clean up out of your nose.
It's coming at you. Aight, I'll get back to work.
Niggas still Some issues need to be addressed like envelopes, I mean. Oh, like Liberty Bells, just them bullets keep on ringing. On fire like the souls that was open wounds up into the scatter. Trees white and green turn brown. All them call them. See, all them leaves must fall down. Because no one is free when others press. So we hit the stage and then we fly back to our nest like some eagles. People don't understand, just like their parents don't be caring. I'm speaking about you playing with that phony stuff you sharing in your raps and Sadie Benz and all your riches. Thinking you got it, but get it? But you ain't pimping no bitches cause you flaw. And funnel like these into driveways. Isn't it lovely smoking good and sloppy sloppy head on highways. Fridays are tight, but Saturday just makes it old. Winter nights are hot, warm enough to feed your soul. Growing old. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon happiness and find you just listen, started my African jam rocker. So you and your partner got in your thought. It's like breeze goes the water. Started my African jam, so you and your partner got in your thought. Something's gotta change. Sounds of they call me big boy, it's the nigga that be IG. Speaking the truth, not talking that shit, boy. I'm thinking of checking my straps, so back to my raps and throwing them crap. 77 is no convenience, you pumping your gas, so watching your back. For the robbing crew, thinking they robbing you, you must be lost. She's staying up on your home, and you be supposed to be down forward. All that tissues turn to teardrops, fat ass turns black, so that was over, motion, but it turned to stare. Trees bright and green, turn yellow, brown, carbon color. See all them leaves must fall down, forward. Sit now, they're touching the wrong nigga. Don't expect it to be flipping. Get your index off the tricks, we bust. Leaving them in the dust, so keep that clean up out of your nose. I said my piece and then I hush as the calendar keeps flipping. Niggas flipping. 96 gon' be that hit. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon happiness and confusion. When wearing whispers to on my days, it's like breezes of autumn. 96 gon' be that hit. I just be loving our gathering. Like soap is the lather, we come clean. Some issues need to be addressed like envelopes, I mean. Oh, like Liberty Bells, just them bullets keep on ringing. On fire like the Georgia Mass Choir, we keep on singing. Bringing our folks closer together, cause they said where they get green. Like, and we ain't gon' stop until we hit the big screen. Sight, because no one is free when other press. So we hit the stage and then we fly back to our nest like some eagles. People don't understand, just like their parents don't be caring. I'm speaking about you playing with that phony stuff you sharing, and your raps and Sadie Benz and all your riches, thinking you got it. But get it? But you ain't flipping no bitches cause you flaw. And follow like these into driveways. Isn't it lovely smoking good and sloppy head on highways? Fridays are tight, but Saturdays are old. Winter nights are hot, warm enough to feed your soul. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon happiness confront you just when wearing whispers to my days. It's like breezes of autumn. Something's gotta change. Sounds of afternoon. gas turns to flare. Stoves that was open wounds eventually turn to scabs. Trees white and green turn yellow, brown, autumn, autumn. See, all them leaves must fall down, growing old.
Hey, thanks for hooking me up.
They need to drink carry some shit. Listen. Too easy.
You're driving us both crazy.
You're through to your garage. You, need me to bring you a ride?